Alright everybody, today what we're going to be doing is showing you guys a little VGC Reg I team building exercise, showing you guys how you can optimize an already established core, putting a little bit more of your own personal play style on it. The first thing we need to do is find a core to use, and what better place to actually look for a core than to look at recent tournament results. We're also doing this all live on Twitch TV/THATSAplusONE, by the way, so everyone in chat, feel free to say hi. This is the tournament that we're going to be taking a look at. It is the most recent Victory Road April Challenge tournament. There were tons of people in this tournament, big cash prize, really big tournament, and you can actually see a little bit of a pattern. This is the team that won right here that we're going to be optimizing. It has Calyrex-Shadow, Zamazenta, Torn, Urshifu-Water, Shempao, and Rillaboom. Very cool team. You can see a lot of people actually use like this same core. It's a very popular core with very slight adaptations. So thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I think there were like 4 or 5 of this team in the tournament, and Shohei Kimura, I think former world champion, ended up winning the tournament with this team. If we were to take a look at the rest of the top cut, you see how we see Shohei's team right there. This team's very similar, right? We see the rest of the top 16 is all like this team as well. If you scroll down as well, you can see like the last like 3 slots are all like basically this team as well. So that being said, what does this team do right? What do we like about it? And then what could we do to make this team a little bit more our style, or give ourselves a little bit of a spin on this team? This is a question I get asked so often in my YouTube videos, is how do you actually optimize a team once it's built? And that's what we're working on today. So I think the first thing you want to do is take a look at a defensive team builder. This is done from Maryland. I already plugged all this in. And you can see when we're taking a look at this team, we're plugging in the defensive type charts. You can see this team has a really big weakness to fire, being Zamazenta, Rillaboom, and Shempao, right? And the way that you get around that is by utilizing Rain Dance on Tornadus. And the one thing that I don't really like about this team is it's very reliant on Tornadus. Tornadus has to set the speed control. Tornadus has to be one of the main, it's usually the main fighting resist for this team, because you also have a couple big fighting weaknesses on Pau and Zenta. And then you have to also apply weather control. Tornadus is doing a whole heck of a lot, and if they just kind of shut down the Torn, it makes this team like a lot harder to use, in my personal opinion. This team's it's asking a lot of the Tornadus. So what I would like to do here is make a team that takes a little bit of the pressure away from the Tornadus spot, and doesn't also play like a rush down race to the finish. Because I feel like when you look at this team, you see like Tailwind, Rain Dance, like big aggressive Ursh, Pow, you know, it seems like a race to the finish team where you're trying to kind of beat your opponent without actually playing the long game. So I'm not going to be building a team that can play the long game, but I want to build a team that can give me a few more options. If we were to go into Pokemon Showdown over here and take a look at the open team sheet for this, you can see it's a body press heavy slam Zenta with Wide Guard and Protect, very standard. On the Ghost Tera too, really cool to see Ghost Tera here. It's really nice, because if you go Ghost Tera, you have a good matchup into other Zentas, and then you can Wide Guard away like Shadow Rider's Astral Barrage. I think it's like really cool tech. Ghost Tera is very nice there. And then this Ghost Tera Shadow Rider here double dips that Astral. It's good in the Murata matchup. And then you have like Encore for like other, you know, pesky moves and stuff like that. It's just a really good move. It's good into the Terapagos matchup. I like the Encore tech a lot with the Psychic on the Sash. The Torn, right? It's doing so much. It has Protect, it has Rocky. I mean, this is a bulky set. We weren't given EVs with this team, so we're going to have to be building our own EVs. But I do think this Torn is bearing like a heavy burden. You bring this thing to almost every single matchup. It's it is your best defensive pivot. It's your speed control. It's your weather control. It's AoE. This guy's doing so much. This one's working overtime in this team, and I think there is a better way to optimize this slot. You have a Mystic Water Ursh. I really like the Mystic Water Ursh on this set. Water Tera Double Dip lets you still KO things as well, especially for Rain Dance up. I like this tech a lot. Rillaboom is Fire Tera, very standard. This is exactly what you want to see from Rillaboom. Thank you for the follows as well. If you guys are liking this sort of in-depth analytical content where we review teams, optimize them, fix them, and teach you guys a little bit about VGC, think about letting me know. And we're still going. This is the weird thing. This is why this team feels like a race to the finish team to me. You saw that we already had the Sash on our Shadow Rider, so Life Orb Stellar Pow, I'm not vibing with like a Life Orb Stellar Pow. It feels like that's just a 50-50 protect bait waiting to happen. Like, if I want to go for a Sucker Punch or an Icicle Crash and they just don't die and then kill me with their teammate, I've lost the game. And I don't want to create a situation where I lose the game because one of my mons gets folded in one turn. What I want to do is set weather correctly, set speed control correctly, and then outvalue my opponents with my restricteds instead of trying to rush them down. Not that there's anything wrong with like hyper aggressive like rush down playstyles, but I think we can take this same 6 and completely flip how they work, optimize the team just a little bit, and give us more options against a wide variety of players. So that being said, what sort of changes would I be making? Well, if I were to take a look at the team that I've already built, which I'm going to be showing you guys a rental code for in just a second, this is what I came up with. So we're still using the Zamazenta, we're still using the Shadow Rider. I've swapped out my Tornadus for a Murkrow, because remember the team that we were just looking at. This Dark Tera Tornadus, I really liked what it was doing, but it felt like it was doing too much. I felt that it was punished by taunt users, encore users. I wanted my Tailwind setter to already be immune to those things while actually still threatening damage on Shadow Rider. So we're actually using like a Sucker Punch, Tailwind, aggressive Murkrow. I like this tech a lot. I think it does a lot of what that Torn does while still giving us the tech that we need to outvalue other Shadow Riders. We're keeping the same Urshifu tech. We're optimizing Rillaboom in just a little bit, and then we're cutting the Shenpao for like a bulky Icy Wind Flutter. We're adding a secondary Mom with speed control with that Icy Wind off the booster to help us in the Shadow Rider mirror, to help us in a bunch of other matchups. And if we don't need to bring dynamic speed control from the Murkrow, we can just bring Flutter Mane to just throw up an Icy Wind if we feel like it every once in a while. We also are going to be adding Taunt on the Urshifu and the Flutter Mane, so we just have a much better matchup into something like Miraidon Farigiraf. I feel like Miraidon Farigiraf gives this team way too many problems, because if you have to basically lead Rillaboom into the Miraidon, and then like one of your restricteds, but then like they just get the Trick Room up and then they go into Iron Hands, and then you just like herp and get KO'd because like you don't have any good defensive pivots anymore now. You have no defensive pivots into Iron Hands, right? And so I really think that this team lets us still like taunt things correctly, have the speed control correctly, terrain control with fake out pressure. And so I really, really like where this team's going. If we were to take a look at the team that I've already built, and like I said, we're going to be showing the rental in just a second, so feel free to get those screenshots ready. Let's go back here. This is the team that I built. So we're going to be rocking a Fire Terrazenta with Protect Iron Defense, right? Is that a sub? Yo, thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate it. Happy to have you here. We're trying to go to the NAIC International Championships. I've already got my ticket, but we're trying to hit the sub goal on Twitch as well. So thank you so much for support. Happy to have you. Hopefully you're learning something. And again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know here. I really like the Fire Tera Zenta, and you see that we actually really changed how the Zenta works. The Zenta on the original team was Ghost Tera with Wide Guard. And remember, I don't want to have like a weird 50-50 turn where like, you know, it happens to everyone. You click Wide Guard, and then they just don't go for AoE, and you lose. I'd much rather have a situation where I apply speed control with a Murkrow from a Prankster Tailwind, and then just Snarl them, and then just soak their damage, and then restore the damage back with my Rillaboom using like Grassy Surge or, you know, a Pollen Puff for my Shadow Rider. And then also, one advantage of the Zenta set is we have Iron Defense. So one really cool thing about Zamazenta is I can just sit in front of like a Calyrex, pop that Iron Defense, I don't care what they do, right? I can just sit in front of a Shadow Rider, go for Snarl, like, I don't care what they do, I'm gonna get value out of it. Even if I force your Tera into something that resists Snarl, like, I don't know, like a Dark type or something like that, Body Pressure just comes in hot. Really, really cool tech. I think the Zenta's very, very good. We outspeed, I think, Landorus I, full Timid Landorus I here. And we get our EV investment up to the bump on defense. Very, very cool stuff. I like this set a lot. Very happy with it. Shadow Rider's 2v2 easy peasy. We have the normal Tera here just because I don't want to lose the Shadow Rider mirror. And then we have the same type of stuff here. We cut the Encore for Pollen Puff, which I actually really like the Pollen Puff tech. It lets us heal our Rillaboom, lets us heal our Zenta. And there's a lot of situations where like if Zenta 6 a Snarl or two, and then gets like 1 Iron Defense, Zenta just 1v4s. And we do be taking those. So really, really cool stuff. Like the Pollen Puff. It's also really good into things like Farigiraf and Indeedee. Love this a lot. This is the Murkrow, and I think that Murkrow can still be optimized. I've been playing a little bit more with this team. I think the only thing that's kind of weird here is the Assurance, and I think that I realistically think you could put Protect or Taunt or even like an Icy Wind here if you really wanted that, or even Sub. Those are all viable options on Murkrow here, but basically we wanted a Prankster setter that threatened Shadow Rider. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to lead Murkrow Zenta into Shadow Rider, and then they're like, huh. And this works in open sheet or closed sheet. We just throw out the Sucker Punch. We can go Sucker Punch and Snarl. You can't play around all of that, right? And it's not like you can just fold me with like an Astral E. That's one of the really good things about Murkrow. Remember that Shadow Rider set that we're looking at, it was like Astral Barrage Psychic. They didn't have any other options. Have I tried Quash on Murkrow? I have, but this team does not need Quash because we already have a lot of fast mons. One really cool thing about this team too is Murkrow with full speed outspeeds all the popular base 90s, right? Groudon, Kyogre, everything else like that, Annihilate, stuff like that. So we can actually see all these mons, like Urshifu, like Zenta, Rillaboom for once use Grassy Glide, Flutter Mane, Shadow Rider, they all outspeed Murkrow, which gives us double damage on our Assurance. Big, massive damage. I really, really like this Assurance tech. So what I can do is if I lead into like Indity and something, I can just go like a little bit of chip damage from a Snarl, Assurance, Oko, or Indity, Chef's Kiss. Same thing into like Farigiraf. It is so good when you just fold their Farigiraf on the first turn. It is ridiculous how like good that feels. And this is Life Orb Murkrow. This Sucker Punch chunks. Brave Bird does so much damage. You can Oko Koraidons with this. If you actually get away with getting the Tailwind off, you're going to win the game. Thank you so much for the sub. This is one of my favorite types of exercises that helps in so many aspects. Yo, thank you. I appreciate you. Happy to have you here. We're going on a little bit of a hype train on Twitch TV/THATSAplusONE where we stream about like 5-6 days a week. We're doing a bunch of cool stuff. Thank you so much for the support, my friend. I really like this Murkrow. I think it does a lot of the stuff that Torn does. And because we're using a bulky, like, Icy Wind Flutter, we don't necessarily have to have that, like, you need your Tailwind setter to protect and be on the board at all times like Torn did. Going into the Urshifu here, I really like this set here. I made my EV spread for this Ursh to outspeed. What did I really want to I needed to outspeed the Murkrow, right? I needed to outspeed Murkrow basically, so I can correctly use Assurance. But having a Jolly Ursh is great. Mystic Water, Grass Tera is really, really good here, especially with that Taunt. So this is so good into Amoonguss. I can taunt Amoonguses. I can also go Grass Tera to get around Amoonguss and taunt whatever I want. I found this guy excels in like the Landorus Eye matchup. Landorus Eye is actually pretty good against like most of our mons. They can kind of lead like Landorus Eye. You know, you've seen that popular team with like Landorus Eye, Regieleki, Shadow Rider, and stuff like that. You can lead your Ursh in here and actually just bully those out of the game. This set right here, I'm trying to remember exactly what this 44 points is for. Yes, I remember what it's for. So I can lead Urshifu and then pivot in my Rillaboom on an already active Miraidon. If I take away the Miraidon's electric terrain, this lets me live the Fairy Tera Specs Dazzling Gleam, even from the modest Miraidon, with just 44 points and in SpDef and 4 in HP. So that way, if they lead like Miraidon and Farigiraf, and I wanted to lead like, I don't know, like Murkrow and Urshifu trying to get a pin on like a Whimsicott or something, and they don't lead that way, I just pivot in the Rillaboom, take away the terrain, still taunt the Farigiraf, and then, like, we haven't lost. I now have, like, pin damage into the Miraidon, and I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. So I like that. I think it's a really, really cool line, and, you know, I've actually already played a few games with this team on stream, so we're going to be playing some games, actually, as well with this team in just a minute, but this mon is very, very good on this team. It's probably the mon I use the least out of all of them, but it has the most amount of tech. I think it's very nice. Rillaboom, speaking about tech, look at this thing. This thing is off the charts tech. So the moveset looks pretty standard. We have Fake Out, U-Turn, Grassy Glide, but then we have Tera Blast, and it's Tera Blast Rock. And you may be wondering, why are you Tera Blast Rock? That is because Ho-Oh gives Zamazenta a really hard time. Ho-Oh's a problem. Cali-I can sometimes be a problem. Incineroar can be a problem. Fire Tera Koraidon can be a problem. And there's so many situations where, like, how do you beat Rillaboom? You hit it with a fire attack or a flying attack. Rock resists both. Rock pins both. Really, really cool stuff. It's not too often you get to hit the Tera Blast, but like, dang, when you actually clap someone with that Tera Blast, it feels so good. There's so many like random mons that just go Fire Tera nowadays too. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's really, really cool. And it just automatically wins the game versus Ho-Oh. That's the thing. Like, Ho-Ohs think they're so cool into Rillaboom. It's perfect in close sheet, right? Because if you're just playing and they're like, huh, it's a Rillaboom, I'm going to Sacred Fire or Brave Bird it. And you don't even ever actually have to click the Tera Blast into the Ho-Oh. You can just go Rock Tera and they think it's defensive. And you can ignore the Ho-Oh for like 2 or 3 turns to do stuff to their teammates. And then eventually just like, Tera Blast, you're gone. You know, they never see that coming. I think it's very, very fun. Rillaboom set is made to outspeed Shadow Riders if we have a Tailwind up. Very, very cool set. Very, very aggressive. I think it's a great set. I don't use Rillaboom as much as I probably should, but very, very solid mon. And the last mon here is the mon I cut Shempao for. Basically, I really liked what Shempao did, being like a 135 base speed mon that had like a lot of aggressive tendencies, but I wanted more taunts, a little more speed control. This EV spread is there to be full speed, and then these 52 points are made to still Oko Miraidon if they've already like wasted the Tera someone else. So if I go for a double dip Fairy Tera and I Moonblast a Miraidon, like a full specs 252 speed special attack Miraidon, this will always get the KO if I double dip my Tera into it. So very, very cool set. I like this Flutter Mane a lot. I think Flutter Mane is the mon that I lead with more often than not. I think the last little thing about this team is I will say you very rarely lead with Shadow Rider. What I like to do with this team is lead a little bit of like Zenta Murkrow if they have dynamic speed control. If they don't have dynamic speed control, I lead Zenta Flutter Mane or Zenta Rilla or Zenta Ursh. And then from there, I play a couple turns out, weaving in Snarls, weaving in Iron Defenses, maybe get their mons weakened, and then come out with like a mid-game Murkrow or even a mid-game Shadow Rider and just fold them once they've like been softened up or have to show a little bit more of their tech. So we try to close with the Shadow Rider. That's why sets like this Pollen Puff are better here than like additional coverage, because we can just save Shadow Rider, pin some stuff, and then come out, heal the Zenta once after they've basically thrown the kitchen sink at it, and we're just in like a really, really good spot to win the game. What I'm going to do right now is show you guys the rental code for this team as well. So if you guys want to use this team in your own games, I have a rental made. One of my Patreons on patreon.com/THATSplusONE helped me get this rental code made, but I will say all of my teams get made into rental code. So if there's ever a team you want to see me use that you like or stuff like that, think about checking out the Patreon. I will also say, if we're talking about the Patreon, all of my like learning how to play this team is uploaded in like little video segments. Or about a half an hour Patreon exclusive videos going over the laddering process, where I talk through my thought process and talk through what I like, what I don't like, and how to optimize the leads for how to better understand some matchups. That's all going to be on Patreon as well, in addition to all my rentals, in addition to the Patreon team fixing, in addition to a bunch of really cool stuff that we have coming out this month for the prep of Reg I. Think about checking that out. And this is the team right here. So this is this team's rental code. Like I said, one of my Patrons was nice enough to get this made into a rental pretty quick so we could share it with everybody here. But I do really, really like this team. I love the Grass Tera on the Ursh. I love how bulky this Zenta is and how it can go into almost any matchup. I really, really like the Protect Flutter Mane with the Taunt. This team just does a lot of really cool stuff right. It's okay in OTS. It's probably better in Close Sheet. But I think it's a really, really cool, different take on, again, what was Shohei's winning team. Like, remember, the whole point of this is to see what this team did, see what we liked about it, and see what we could change to put our own playstyle on. I liked the Zenta. I wanted one that was a little bit more of like a deck master or like a team captain with like Snarl and Iron Defense, right? I liked what the Torn did. I liked the Dark Tera on the Torn, but I didn't want to have to waste my Tera to still gain that immunity to those Prankster moves. I liked the Ursh. I kept mostly the Ursh. The only thing I did was add Taunt and change its Tera. I liked the Rillaboom. I optimized it with Tera Blast and other coverage. I liked the 135 base of the Shempao, and I changed it into the Flutter Mane. I think we made some good changes to this team, and I've had a really good laddering experience with it. I got it up to like top 400 on Showdown Ladder in just a couple days. I played a video with it the other day on stream, and I won every single game in some pretty great games against hard Trick Room teams. And I feel like it's a pretty high skill ceiling team, but for the most part, I think it's a very fun one. So what we're going to do now is go play a few games with this team, just in general, and see if we can talk through and show you guys a little bit more about how I like to play. You know, we were talking a little bit about, leading mostly Zenta and speed control or fake outs, closing with Shadow Rider. It's a really, really good exercise. So we're going to try and recognize some patterns, punish those patterns, and try and play just a little bit longer game than Shohei's original team was made to do. So let's just hop into that. All right, Rayquaza Miraidon. So against Miraidon, what I like to do a lot of the time is bring Rillaboom. Rillaboom is here for the Miraidon matchup. That being said, Scarf Chi-Yu can be a little bit of a bully. And so we have to think, like, what are they going to do? Another good thing that we can kind of notice here is, are they using dynamic speed control? Which they are. They have Whimsicott. So if I were to go like Murkrow, Zenta, definitely bring our Shadow Rider, and then close Rilla, that's a good lead into this team. Another mon that could be cracked here, though, is Flutter Mane. It's faster than Chi-Yu. It's faster than Ray. It's faster than Miraidon. It's faster than all these things. It's a really, really solid mon. I don't think we need to be respectful of Trick Room as much. That looks like more of like an Imprison Fergraph. So I actually don't think Fergraph's coming, which means I don't need to bring Flutter for the taunt. Otherwise, I would lead like Flutter Murkrow here if I was really worried about, like, if they had an Iron Hands there, I might lead something like that. But I think Rillaboom's just a good last mon here. Let's go into this one, see what happens here. They have Fake Outs, they have Speed Control, they have very limited potential for redirection. I think their only real potential for redirection is going to be Ally Switch Fergraph. But let's see how this one goes. We have the tools here, and if they want to lead Whimsicott, yeah, we'll see how that works. Whimsicott and Miraidon could be dicey. Just a tad, just a wee tad bit dicey. Farigiraf and Sin, awesome. So another really cool thing about this is when, I would say, just me saying this here, when we see our opponents make a slight misplay like this, I'm going to call this a misplay even though it might not be. When we see them make what we are going to perceive to be a slight misplay, we want to punish those. Because this is a very low power board, right? What does this tell me? This tells me you have fake out pressure. You might be also wisping, right? So I'm thinking to myself, this also tells us like what mons you have to have in the back. You have to bring Miraidon to this matchup. And I don't think you have Chi-Yu. I think you're bringing Miraidon and maybe Ray. Miraidon, Chi-Yu is also possible, but we know there's Miraidon here somewhere. So that being said, what do we really want to do here? I'm going to go for the Assurance here, and I am going to Snarl just in case they want to try and cheekily pivot in something. And if I hit this, this means that we're going to double dip the damage into the Farigiraf. Actually, I'm just going to body press it. Screw that. I don't want to miss. You could fake out too. That's absolutely fine. Note that we didn't waste our Tera. If you want to set up Trick Room, I'm not Tailwinding, right? We're just going to stick some great damage in with this Murkrow. It sucks we don't get the double damage, but like, that's okay. And then you're going to Trick Room. Yes, no, maybe so. Trick Room, awesome. So note that, what did we do? We didn't take the bait. We didn't need to Tailwind, right? I actually think we can just save the Murkrow right here. Probably pivot in Rilla. I could. I think they're going to Wisp my Zenta here. So I'm going to pivot in the Rilla. I'm going to Tera my Zenta, and I'm just going to... I kind of want to just body press the Incin. I wonder if we can KO the Farigiraf with body press from here. Yeah. I'm trying this exercise with the Luna Bike team that got top 4. Yeah, Blood Moon is a really, really good mon in this format. I think it's great. So fake out TR. Nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not losing my Murkrow. I think Murkrow is very, very usable in the later half of this game. Sucker Punch is going to have value too if I can get this Farigiraf off the board. And if I can get the Farigiraf off the board, it's going to unlock my Rillaboom's ability to fake out. Another thing here is if I KO this Farigiraf and I'm able to... Well, we'll see what happens here. If I KO the Farigiraf, I'm able to then bait in the Miraidon and then pivot out my Rillaboom for Murkrow, which you wouldn't realistically be going for like an electric attack into that slot. And then I would just be able to pivot out the Murkrow back for the Rillaboom, regain the terrain control, and a fake out pin. Really, really solid stuff. Let's see if they Wisp me. Foul play. Cool. That's great. That's great targeting. Great damage in the Rillaboom there. Flare Blitz into what was Zenta. No. No. How about lol nope. And note how we didn't take the bait and go for the damage into the body press and the Incin. Incin could have definitely went for something like a... How would I word this? Incin could have went for a Ghost Tera, and I just didn't want to deal with that. All right, so let's think about what they're going to do here. You're going to go fat into my Rillaboom here, and I don't have to fake out yet. So what do we need to do here? Do we need this Rillaboom? No, we don't. We don't necessarily need. I'm going to pivot in my Murkrow, fodder it, because we need to save the Rillaboom, and I'm just going to go for a Snarl. I think that's fine. It's not great new Incin. We need to KO this Farigiraf. It's like really required that we KO this thing. I'm trying to get Ghost Tera out of this Incin, and it's not happening. Helping Hand. Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, absolutely acceptable. Just fodder the Murkrow. Take some chip. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. What's your restriction for today? It's Zenta and Shadow Rider. And I need to hit this Farigiraf with this Snarl. Need. It's a need. It's not a want. Let's go. And we're not using a special attack Red Ace Nature Zama either. We have like our stats are right here. You see we have like we have 4 points here. 80 base special attack's not bad, bro. It's not bad. Awesome. So I'm going to bring in Shadow Rider. We're back up at full on the Zama. So bringing the Shadow Rider here. I'm going to get this Incin off the board. I'm going to pivot in. Oh, it's Ray. Cool. Picked up VGC recently, trying to learn what Murkrow doing. We just went through the full team builder for this team, showing you everything that it does. You can go back and watch the VOD. It's just a really good mon. It's a really good safe Tailwind setter. So I think the last month's going to be Miraidon, right? So what do we think? 2 turns on TR. I think I just protect here and just go straight up into like a BP baby. If you want to Ghost Tera, this is your time. But then like what I'm going to do here is just pivot out for the Rilla, come back in and just fold you. Right? That's the idea here. I hope that's not like Tailwind Ray. That would be obnoxious. But we're in a great spot here. I think we are in a good spot here. They've shown Fake Out. I wonder if they're going to try and pivot out the Incin as well. Miraidon does not want to pivot in on a Body Press either. And we've just shown Snarl. So they're thinking what we want to do here. They still have Tera on the Ray too. Ray could be normal Tera, which could be really obnoxious. But I think we're in a good spot. I feel like them not Ghost Terraing for like the first 3 turns of the game in front of like a Body Press Zenta is... And then Ghost Terraing like this turn would be really criminal. Especially because like, you know... Yeah, Protect Ray's very... that's keeping me honest, right? Yeah, it's Prankster Tailwind that doesn't need a Tera to avoid Prankster Taunts. It's good stuff. This also blocks parting into the Shadow Rider, which I really, really like. Darkest Lariat. That's not bad. There's reasons to use Lariat. We're going to get the KO on the Incin here. And then what we're going to do is pivot in the Rilla, protect Zenta. I think that's fine. Bait the Tera, and then punish both these with Shadow Rider. This should be conditioning a Miraidon Tera, I think. Did you get a haircut or something? I did. Yeah, I cut my hair a few days ago. Okay. I think I Snarl here. I think I Protect here. Just because like I want to have the Fake Out pin. Yeah, Life Orb's good. Life Orb's good damage. Murkrow's a sweeper. It's not. It's just an aggressive Tailwind setter. This Murkrow's built kind of like a Dark Tera Talonflame. It's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, let's see it. So I would not be surprised to see respective Shadow Rider. This is, again, the last turn of TR. So, like, if I wanted to Snarl here, I could. I don't think that we need to, though. That's the thing is, like, I don't think that it's, like... If I pivot in the Rilla and I Snarl and you Dragon's Ascent and, like, crit me with an Electro Drift, I don't really want that. I'd rather just have my Zamazenta, like, at full. Because I still have a Fake Out pin for next turn, right? I'm trying my best to see what your Tera is going into as well. Like, who knows? That could be, like, Ghost Tera Miraidon or something weird. And if I went for a Body Press on it, that'd be really bad. So let's see if we're forcing that Tera here. They can no longer pivot. There's the Tera. Awesome. And so, like, being able to force the Tera potentially on the Miraidon means the Ray can't go normal, right? And that's really big. There's the Electric Double Dip. That is nutty. That's, like, massive. That is so big. So all we really need to do here is just stick one Body Press into it and we win. So we just go Fake Out Body Press it next turn. Ray's going to protect and preserve its Sash, and then we just fold them both with Shadow Rider. Crunch. Bro, he cooking. He cooking. Not happening. See, we're not letting that happen. And we just get the damage on the Miraidon. Puts it within range for Shadow Rider. Yeah, I think we got it. I think we're gonna get this one, but we'll see. Miraidons are usually built choiced, but I mean, especially if they're Electric Tera, right? I think the only ones that would be like it could be AV, but again, those still don't have Protect, right? And so this is where I was talking about like slight misplays from our opponent, like. That Electric Tera, that's kind of weird. If it was fighting Tera, we'd probably just Snarl, break the Sash on the Ray, weaken them up a little bit. But like since they showed Electric Tera, we're like, fine, I'm just gonna win then, right? We still get to live there. That's awesome. It's Choice Scarf. It might be Choice Scarf, but don't care, you know, at that point, because we're still gonna get the pin on it. And you have to E-speed my Rilla here, and I know that you have to E-speed it, but like I think that I'm fine here. I don't want to pivot in the Shadow Rider and get my Sash clocked. I'm not doing that. I'm not pivoting my Shadow Rider on a Crunch. We're not playing that game. That's not what's happening. You can KO my Rilla with an E-speed if you choose to do so. Yeah, go nuts. I will allow it. You don't need to get cute at this point in the game. I feel like because I think that Shadow Rider can like low-key beat just both of these in general. But we'll see. It could be Scarf though. It could. But if it's Scarf, it has like no damage into the Zenta. And another reason why I don't want to pivot in Shadow Rider, because like what if they know that I'm pivoting in Shadow Rider, ignore that slot, and then like Electro Drift, Dragon's Ascent, crit my Zenta, I lose the game, right? I'll probably lose the game. So let's just see what they do here. You just let them have the Rilla, take out the Miraidon, and then 2v1 the Ray here. Alright, so let's see it. No crits. No terrain. Let me live. I want to live. Gaming. Gaming. Cool. Nice, nice, nice. I low-key want to read the Protect and like side Pollen Puff my Zenta, dude. I want it. I want it. Don't even act like I don't want it. I want it. Shadow Rider closes it. Perfect. Just like how we talked about. Shadow Rider comes in for the close. Perfect. Absolutely magnifique. And they can't go normal Tera or do anything weird. And that's going to be it. Even if you have Sash, it's gone. I mean, I'm thinking, like, what could he possibly do? It's like, skill shot. Wouldn't do anything. Protect, yeah, it's fine. Like I said, I wanted the parting shot, or the Pollen Puff. I wanted it. But you're just giving me free Grassy Train recovery of my Zenta, so, like, we take these. And I think Miraidon's a bit of a dicey matchup for this team in some situations, but, like, we were able to punish the fact that their lead was, like, really low power. It had very little threat. So, like, Zenta kind of just bullied both their mons off the rip. He's thinking. He's thinking about it. Let's see if it's sashed. Which it should be, but we'll see. Nope. We're faster, too. Of course we are. Damn, he barely lives that. Never lucky. Dragon's Ascent. Okay. Zenta. Peace. And again, there's no way that you actually get this out. E-Speed ain't gonna do it. So you've shown Dragon's Ascent, Crunch, and E-Speed. And Protect. You've shown all 4 of your moves. No way, Jose. I bet you wish you had that normal Tera, huh? Bet you wish you had that normal Tera, huh? Yeah. I bet. Battle was canceled. Wins up. Big wins up. Can you please go drop a sub on the YouTube channel? Please? Please? Can you please? We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. We're at 44,000, about 500 right now. I would really appreciate it. If you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, go check it out. There's a bunch of other team building guides and tier lists. There's daily VGC videos as well. Really cool stuff on the YouTube. Go check it out. The next step in like learning how to play would be trying to then understand what our opponent brings for game 2 and game 3 based off of what we showed and how game 1 was played. So if you remember in that game, we led with Murkrow and Zenta, right? And then we brought in Shadow Rider and Rillaboom as our mons in the back. And we were able to consistently have terrain control with Rillaboom. We were able to bully with Zenta. So that would be forcing more responses from them, things that get those mons off the board. We would probably see a little bit more whims and trading Tailwinds with like the Murkrow in like a faster mode. And then like maybe even Chi-Yu. So that's something where if we knew that that was going to be happening, we could then probably bring in Flutter main instead of the Rillaboom, because we wouldn't be even fighting for terrain control, we would just be fighting for speed control at that point. So if game 1, we mitigated damage with Rillaboom, and then in game 2, we would play for control, speed control with Flutter main. Just an idea. And then if game 3 happens, you know, we could then run it back the same speed control way, or we could even cut the Murkrow for the Rillaboom and play a little bit of both, and then kind of see where that went from there. But we have a lot of options, but understanding like what trauma responses are being forced from your opponents is like really, really important when understanding like how a team works and understanding what you want to bring in game 2 or game 3 based off what you showed in game 1. It's just a super important like metric that I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about. And when you have like mons that are very, very like one-dimensional and to the point like this Murkrow, it's, you know, it's important. It's an important skill to have. All right, Kyogre and Koraidon. That is going to be problematic. Cress on that team is actually kind of weird too. That being said, I still don't think you ever lead Shadow Rider. I think Zenta lead is good, and the rule of thumb for me is you do not need to bring your Murkrow if they do not have dynamic speed control, right? You don't need to do it. And dynamic speed control is speed control that is boosted by like priority or +1s. So because their speed control is tied to Cress and Roaring Moon, I can just bring this Flutter main and just taunt either of those. I can Icy Wind the Roaring Moon. I can go for, I can do anything. So like I think a board state of like Zenta and Flutter main is going to be optimal here. And then I obviously always want to bring my Shadow Rider. And we're thinking, like, now we have complete freedom to do whatever we want with this last spot. I don't think there's anything wrong with Rilla here. I don't think we necessarily need to bring Ursh. Ursh isn't bad. It's another taunt user. We could also bring Murkrow. Murkrow's not bad here. I think Rillaboom is good because it's a electric resist for the Zapdos. It pins the Kyogre, and we have good fake outs to help us like wait out their potential speed control like Trick Rooms or Tailwinds if they happen to go up. So it's a contingency plan that kind of is a catch-all for everything. So let's go right into it and see what happens here. And it's so funny, you know, like we have the ability, I have the ability to play this like really analytical play style where there's exact reasons behind like layering, behind every single thing that we do, but it's just so funny how much of that people don't see when we're just like playing like, I'm just gonna hit this, bro. Like there's so much like muscle memory and like practice that goes into layering up all this stuff. I think in this situation, it's not wrong to go Icy Wind Snarl. I don't think that that's wrong. If that's Cloak Zapdos though, that could be an L. But like, would you be Cloak Zapdos? Because then like, because we can just taunt the Zapdos. I think that's a safer play. It's just taunt Zapdos and Snarl. Because we outspeed both with Zenta anyways. This just says no Tailwind. And the problem is Thunder here. That's fine. I'm not letting you get Tailwind up. Not letting it happen. You're going to try and you're going to go protect Tailwind, and I'm going to say nah. And the reason why we don't Icy Wind here is because that same protect play. So they want to go protect Tailwind, and we're like, no, stop it, unless you have Mental Orb. Hurricane. That's fine. I don't care. Don't even care. And they are Scarfed Zapdos. And then you get the confused. They are Scarfed Zapdos. So that means that like there is no Scarf anywhere else. Because that's the only way you would outspeed my Zenta is with Scarf. Oh, I just missed my Snarl! Oh my gosh. I just missed Snarl from... Oh, that's so bad. That changes things. Missing Snarl is like really bad. Yeah, we punished the crap out of this. Crest, cool. Good play. Nice. Happy to get that damage. We just lose the Flutter. Like, this is completely fine losing the Flutter. I have no issue with that. It's going to be Shadow Rider time. You about to get folded in half like a freaking chocolate sandwich cookie, bro. Okay. As long as you don't confuse my Shadow Rider again, we are fine. This will redirect the body press into the Zapdos if they don't tear the crest. Yep. Sorry, redirect the body press into the Zap. I don't think I said that correctly, but you're gonna get messed up here. Please don't confuse. Please no two confuse in a row. Just no two confuse in a row. I'm gaming. Let's go. So crest is down. That's a +1. Zapdos is gonna get checked by body press. There's a % chance of static happening, which is completely fine. Yep. Nice. Cool. Yeah. No double 30% chance confuses there. You have Kyogre, which we know is not choiced, and probably Koraidon on the back. And we know it's not choiced, so Shadow Rider just says, GG, shake my hand. What's the theory behind Zama with Calyrex-Shadow? Honestly, like, it's just because they cover for each other so well. They're good pivots into each other. I think my theory is, like, I really like the Zama as, like, a team captain with, like, Snarl and Body Press. Because, like, I feel that Zama can just sit in front of, like, every board and have value. I'm trying to think of exactly what we need to do here. It's raining. Because I'm thinking about flipping this on right now. And you may think that's really weird, but this just means I don't die to Collision Course if the Koraidon happens to live. And then our last one's Rilla in the back. I like that play. You can protect with either of these mons. We know the Kyogre already has protect, but I like this. This is going to stick damage, like fat damage on something, and we're already +1 Shadow Rider. It's just a really aggressive like team, I think. Like Shadow Rider Zama is just really good. Good play. See what type of Koraidon this is. Are you trying to go, who are you also trying to go after, right? Es importante. Because, right, what we're going to have next turn, too, is, like, another fake out pin if we want it. Because, like, we should be fine here. Never lucky. Scale Shot. Ooh, that's cool. I vibe with that. That's actually really cool. I like that. You don't see Scale Shot all that often. So that's within range for Rilla if I want to do that. Yeah, never lucky. Had to respect the Kyogre because we Tera'd there. And we Tera'd there to make it so Collision Course didn't Oko. Off a crit. Alright. Yep. Protect Kyogre is the right play. But if you Flare Blitz the Rilla, you lose it to Recoil, and I don't die. What do you have? I want to see if they go Grass Tera Ogre. Shouldn't be Ghost. Water Tera Double Dip. Wow. Yeah, that's fine. So note that we also didn't just click Grassy Glide. Grassy Glide and then like Body Press probably was enough to get the KO. I don't mind this play. I think it's a little bit safer in case they had a resisting Tera like Grass. The Flare Blitz does not get it. Burn is really unfortunate though, because now my Grassy Glide's garbage. That hurts. Not as much as that. All right, we still have that pin though. Who do we go into? Sucks we got burned. If we didn't get burned, it was over. Yeah, the right play is Body Press into there, and honestly, it's probably just... I think Grassy Glide into that slot still gets it after the defense drop. I know it sounds really weird, but I think it's still the right play. Because the Kyogre, like, low-key has to protect. Yep, I'm going to just keep it honest. Nice. Nice GG's. Cool. We were able to win. So we missed the Snarl. We got confused from the Scarf Zapdos. But, like, we still played to our outs and brought the right monster, the right situation. I think, like, I feel like the original team, right? The team that we were looking at would have got folded by that. Like, the Life Orb POW, you know, you have Wide Guard here, but, like, you have no Snarls, no, like, defensive options. Like, I feel like the changes that we made is what let us win this match. That Flutter main was still really, really important. We would have had to have brought Torn, and that team would have just bullied the heck out of the Tornadus. Zapdos would have bullied the heck out of Tornadus. And we would have had to have brought it, right? So, yeah, I like the changes that we made. I think this is a really, really fun team. There is a bunch of content featuring this team on Patreon. It's going to be up on YouTube. This is a team that I really, really like, and so I'm in the process right now of practicing for the North American International Championships. I went there last year before I went to Worlds. I got top 100. I had a really, really cool team with like Whimsicott and Terrakion. And I don't really know what I want to play at NAIC this year, but this was the first team that I built in my little like practice session for, you know, getting my skills up to snuff to see if I have what it takes to do well at NAIC again. So that being said, if there's any sort of suggestions that you guys have for any restricted cores you might want to see me use, or anything you might want to, you know, see featured at NAIC that doesn't get enough love, please think about letting me know. And guys, this is your reminder to go, please check out the YouTube channel, drop that sub if you haven't. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. If you guys like these sort of team building videos, these exercises that you guys can use in your own games to become better players through just repetition and recognizing patterns and putting your own little spin on things, please let me know in the comments. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you guys next time.